Hello, and welcome back to the Emotive Archive for our final analysis of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. We have journeyed through creation and rejection, through hope and despair, through murder and revenge. We now arrive at the end of all things, in the vast, silent, and desolate expanse of the Arctic. The final chapters of the novel bring our story full circle, returning us to the ship of Robert Walton, where Victor Frankenstein's tragic tale concludes, and his monstrous creation delivers its own heartbreaking final testament. Today, we will unpack this monumental ending, exploring themes of obsession, the nature of justice, and the profound shared tragedy of two beings who could never escape one another. Let us first analyze the great chase. After the murder of Elizabeth, Victor Frankenstein is no longer a man. He is an instrument of pure vengeance. The grief and guilt that have haunted him now crystallize into a single, all-consuming purpose: to destroy the creature he made. The pursuit that spans continents, from the shores of the Mediterranean to the frozen steppes of Russia and finally to the Arctic ice, is an epic journey. But it is not a heroic one. It is a grim, obsessive pilgrimage. The relationship between creator and creature has now devolved into a symbiotic dance of hatred. The creature actively leaves clues for Victor, taunting him, providing him with just enough food to continue the chase. It does this, it seems, not because it wants to be caught, but because it cannot bear to be completely alone. Even in their mutual hatred, they are the only two beings in the world who truly understand each other's existence. Victor needs the creature as the object of his revenge, and the creature needs Victor as its last remaining connection to its own origin. It is a terrible, twisted form of companionship, a chase to the end of the world, fueled by a shared misery. The story then returns to its frame, aboard Walton's ship. Victor's final speech to Walton is his final confession. He has told his story, but has he learned its true lesson? In some ways, yes. He finally admits his own culpability, acknowledging his ambition as the source of his ruin. But in other ways, he remains tragically blind. He dies still referring to his creation as a fiend, a demon, failing to the very end to take full responsibility for the suffering and loneliness that drove it to its crimes. He warns Walton against ambition, yet his dying breath is filled with a desire for revenge, urging Walton to complete the hunt. His tragedy is that he learns the price of his ambition, but never truly learns the lesson of empathy for the being he created. He dies as he lived, a brilliant man consumed by his own passions, a creator who could never truly see his creation as anything more than a monstrous reflection of his own failure. And then comes the novel's final, most powerful scene. After Victor's death, Walton is startled to find the creature itself in the cabin, weeping over the body of its creator. This is the moment that shatters all simple definitions of good and evil. The monster, the fiend, the murderer, is capable of profound grief and love for the very man it has spent its life hating. Its final monologue is one of the most eloquent and heartbreaking speeches in all of literature. It is not an excuse for its crimes, but an explanation of its suffering. Let us analyze its final confession. The creature recounts its journey of hope and despair. "I was benevolent and good," it says. "Misery made me a fiend." This is the core of Shelley's argument. It argues that evil is not innate, but is created by cruelty, prejudice, and a lack of compassion. The creature details its loneliness, its yearning for a companion, and the final agonizing rejection by the de Lacys that turned his heart to stone. It confesses its crimes, the murders of William, Clerval, and Elizabeth, not with pride, but with a profound self-loathing. "I have murdered the lovely and the helpless," it cries. "I have strangled the innocent as they slept." It feels the full weight of its own monstrosity, a guilt that mirrors Victor's own. In this final moment, we see that the creature possesses a far greater capacity for self-awareness and moral reflection than its own creator. The creature's final confrontation is not with Victor, but with Walton, and by extension, with humanity. Walton, having heard both sides of the story, is moved by pity. He is the first and only human to truly listen to the creature's tale without immediate revulsion. But even he cannot fully overcome his prejudice, calling it a wretch. The creature understands this. It knows there is no place for it in the world of men. Its final decision is not an act of surrender, but an act of ultimate self-abnegation. It will travel to the northernmost extremity of the globe and build its own funeral pyre. In fire, the element of both creation and destruction, it will find its end. This final act is complex. It is an act of suicide, an expression of ultimate despair. But it is also an act of moral responsibility. By destroying itself, it ensures that its own wretched existence can cause no more harm. It performs the final act of cleanup that its creator never could. And so the story ends. The creator and his creation are gone, two flames extinguished in a sea of ice. We are left with Walton, who, having heard this terrible tale, makes the difficult but wise decision to abandon his own obsessive quest and turn his ship back towards home and humanity. He has learned the lesson that Victor never fully did. He chooses connection over glory, safety over forbidden knowledge. Frankenstein is a masterpiece because it refuses to give us simple answers. It is a cautionary tale about unchecked ambition. It is a profound meditation on the nature versus nature debate. It is a tragic story about the universal human need for companionship. And ultimately, it is a mirror. It forces us to look at the monster and see not a simple villain, but a reflection of our own capacity for both creation and destruction, for both cruelty and compassion. It asks us, in the end, who the true monster really is. Thank you for joining me for this final deep dive.